A Spark Primer, Love and War Program Sample Analysis Exercise. Introduction. Disclaimer and objective. Introduction. The author's intent for this exercise is to elaborate on the concept of love and war program entrapments discussed in A Spark Primer Volumes 1 and 2, and to provide practical application for the energetic exchange modality analysis for your individual self-realization path. Disclaimer. This primer guide is not intended to provide every answer from every aspect or perspective of the cosmos, nor it is intended to be used as a reference for absolutes, treaties, or dogma. The prerequisites to this exercise are A Spark Primer, Volume 1 Lessons 1 through 6 and Volume 2 Lessons 7 through 12. The primary objective of this exercise is to help increase efficiency in the recognition of active non-symbiotic energies at work, so that the individual may place intent to transmute them to a constructive symbiotic state. Table of Contents. We will start with a prelude to reinforce the primary objective of this exercise. For preparation, we will perform a quick spiritual alignment exercise. We will then review a 6-minute storyline example, followed by a post-analysis. For our conclusion, we will compile your thoughts regarding the exercise for you to review with your spiritual advisor. Let's start with our prelude. In this exercise, we will review an example of a love and war program by use of a storyline. Our objective will be to analyze the potential active energetic exchange placements through the roles of each character, as it correlates to our perspective of our current construct. While the storyline will have potential emotional impacts, we will refrain from naming the characters and use of unnecessary dramatic language as to help maintain an objective approach to our analysis. Therefore, the story will be related in a very matter-of-fact tone. There may still be events that resonate with your astral, experiential, and emotional makeup. If so, make note of those for the post-analysis aspect of this exercise. Let's begin with a quick alignment in preparation for this exercise. Ground your physical body. Take a deep breath in, and as you blow out, place your intent to root your astral body. Take a deep breath in, and as you blow out, place your intent to block external influences or transmissions. Take a deep breath in, and as you blow out, visualize going past your physical body to connect with your astral body. Take another breath in, and as you blow out, visualize going past your astral body to that core center in which your source spark resides. Continue your breathing and look for guidance to any energy that is causing misalignment. Set your intent to transmute that energy into a symbiotic state. Take a deep breath in, and as you blow out, visualize your physical, astral, and source spark coming into a centered alignment. Continue to breathe normally and allow your physical mind time to process and translate what has occurred until there is a sense that you can be in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. And now our storyline begins. There was a young man who, due to war and conflict in his lands, had lost his parents and all known extended family, and was alone in the world. The young man was able to escape to a nearby kingdom that was civil educated and had a large degree of prosperity. The young man was ambitious and hard-working. He soon gained favor of the local market vendors who would hire him in exchange for food and shelter. In this same kingdom, there was a man and woman, both of noble and wealthy families, who had married and were unable to bring a child to full term. For many years, the couple tried to conceive a child to carry on the family name and fortune, but to no avail. The religious structure of the land perceived this bareness as a sort of curse or lack of favor from the gods. The couple, while wealthy, had lost social standing in the civil discourse of the government, as the religious and governmental structure were intertwined. Having lack of social status, the woman did not have many friends. If there were no activities for her in the temple, she would like to go to the markets where the servants would be gathering the daily provisions for the homes of their servitude. She made friends of the servants and vendors and took notice of the young orphan who was robust and full of energy despite his position in life. She was drawn to the energy of this young man and recognized that despite their family wealth and security, they were barren of not only children, but of the joy of life. The woman brought the young man to their home to hire as a servant. The young man was attractive, energetic, and grateful. He brought such joy to the home that the husband also grew to see the young man as though he was sent from the gods to restore life to their home and deliver them from their long-term grief and sense of displacement in the world. The couple sought direction from the religious governmental order, and it was determined that this was of divine intent to restore the status and stability of the family name and to bring one that would carry on the wealth and social standing of the noble family. A civil and religious rite was performed to authenticate his placement, which we would now call an adoption. As years went by, the young man continued to find favor and success in business and social governmental religious status. He increased the family wealth and was coming of the age where he needed to secure a bond of marriage to maintain his social status and legacy. However, all the daughters of the other noble families were of no interest to him, and he found them boring and unattractive. At that time, there were political and diplomatic concerns arising with the lands of his origin. The civil council felt that it would be helpful to begin to look at familial integrations through marriage of individuals of equal noble status and wealth between the two lands. The neighboring land had a similar combined religious and governmental structure with social standing based upon generational wealth. There was one primary difference which caused diplomatic concerns and tensions of possible war. For the neighboring land, women were worshipped as the givers of life and therefore were the authority in all civic and religious matters. The concept of being given in marriage or bonded in marriage was considered an abomination and caused great divide between the two civilizations. A priestess of the other land was actively involved in the efforts of diplomacy and in high regard within the civil discourse. She believed that war was inevitable unless efforts could be made to bridge the gap between their cultures. The priestess was a woman of unsurpassed beauty and was proficient in all the areas of culture and of the spiritual arts. Within diplomatic council, the well-favored, politically powerful young man and the high priestess agreed to a form of union to help bridge the gap between the cultures of their two lands. There was an agreement that the high priestess would be joined in marriage and conceived to carry on the family status, and in return, the high priestess could bring other women of her family as well as temple servant priests to facilitate religious practices and integrate instruction on the spiritual arts within the culture for those who had interest. There was a servant priest of the religious order of the priestess who was selected to be a part of this group to meet the needs of the priestess and help administrate religious practices. While their culture did not hold belief of bonding between servant man and priestess, there was great love and devotion between them. It was difficult for the priest to participate in this endeavor as he did not believe that a priestess should ever be bound to one man, but his love for the priestess overrode his dogmatic values. The nobleman was elated at the opportunity set before him. His sole desire and passion were to further the status of his noble house in the memory of his deceased adoptive parents and to create an unending legacy as they had desired. He felt for certain this was orchestrated by the gods. The priestess was beyond what he could dream as far as beauty, and though he probably loved her, he loved the fact that this exotic creature was bound to him, and he would be the envy of all his peers and the point of admiration for people of all status. However, the priestess was in no wise like his adoptive mother. She was independent and did what she wanted when she wanted it. While she would try to show a sense of equality between them in formal settings, it was difficult for her to implement this in their day-to-day relationship. This also conveyed in the efforts to conceive a child. While the nobleman was offended by it, if the outward social standing remained, he chose not to take issue. The priestess gave birth to a boy. There was great celebration between both civilizations and, while rocky, the plan for diplomacy seemed to be working rather well. There were many integrations beginning to occur between the two civilizations, and there was a sense of peace for a moment. The boy grew and, with the intent oversight of his mother and her servant priest, became an adept scholar, artist, and spiritualist. The father wanted his son to be more involved with the social events that fostered building social standings and relationships. The sons of other noble families would engage in competitive activities and sort by rank based upon physical agility. However, his son did not have interest in those things and became a disappointment as the nobleman had set his passion solely on social standing. Due to the independence of the priestess and the known pleasure rites of the religion, the nobleman began to question his paternity of the child. He became jealous of the boy and further set his passion solely on the building of his personal social standing. A tragedy occurred. The priestess died unexpectedly in the night, the cause of which was unknown. The nobleman rapidly became bitter as diplomatic relations went into a downward spiral with suspicions and political posturing. The servant priest was devastated at the loss of his priestess and determined that service to her child to be his sole purpose. The boy was grieved for the loss of his mother and was not prepared for stepping up to any demands of appearance from his father. The boy retreated into his studies of the spiritual arts and wanted nothing to do with the religious debates occurring in the civil discourse. It was not long before the inevitable occurred. A holy war ensued. The religious order of the priestess was exiled and exterminated, but the boy was considered the property of the nobleman and therefore could not leave. The servant priest stayed to protect the boy and serve the house as best as he could. The son was now of fighting age but had no training in such things. It was expected that all sons of the noble families of wealth to fight for their land. The nobleman felt as though he had no choice but to send his son to battle to certain death. Despite the pleadings of the servant priest, the father sent the son to battle. The son went willingly, hoping that maybe he would secure the love of his father in death. I would like to say that the son's death was quick and with little pain, but it was not. He passed in an abyss of fear, rejection, and abandonment. The son's body was returned to the city. The nobleman sent the servant priest to retrieve the body and to attempt to make it presentable for civic ritual and display. The servant priest took the body to the ruins of the priestess temple and washed it with the grief of his tears, doing what he could to send protection and healing for his soul's journey. The nobleman had his day on the platform of the noble death rituals, but that would be the last of the admiration of social standing he would receive. Eventually, war came again. The nobleman's home and possessions were burned and pilfered, and no historical records remain with exception to faint memories interwoven in the programs of love and war. This is the end of our sample war and love storyline. Envision, if you will, that we are in a theater. The cinematic reel has been cut. The music has stopped. The emergency lights are now on. We are now disengaged from the character roles of the storyline. Which brings us to our conclusion. Here are some questions I would like for you to ponder. Who was the victim of this story? Did you relate to any character role of the story? If so, what character did you resonate with and why? Did any character win? Would you agree that there are a lot of energies that were released in these character roles? What energies did you feel when reading or listening and contemplating the storyline? Were any of those energies in a symbiotic state of exchange? How do you think you could potentially transmute those energies into a symbiotic state? If non-symbiotic energies are in motion, if they are not feeding life back to your source spark, where are they going? What is being served? What is being fed? While this storyline may seem somewhat of a fantasy, do you recognize repetitive scenarios throughout our known history? Does anything in this storyline have anything totally new in respect to historical human interaction? When you have time, contemplate these things. Begin to question and analyze the scenarios of love and war programs that may be in operation in your life or in the lives of those around you. Review your contemplations with the spiritual advisor that has shared this with you. Contemplate and discuss how and where you can put your intent to process those energies so that they are functioning in a constructive symbiotic state. It is time for you to remember. You are spark. You are from source. You are one of many sparks. Your body may be any gender. Your soul may be any gender. Your spark has light from source. Your spark has love from Source. You are spark. End of Spark Primer Love and War Programs exercise.